friends, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Taylor, and today we're going to talk about all the books that I read for the month of April. I read 5 this month. I know that doesn't seem like a lot, but this month was super busy for me, and I'm really glad I could get that much in, to be honest. To start us off, the first book that I read this month is Redwall by Jacques, and this is a series of, I want to say there's like 22 books in the series, and they're a lot of fun. They are marketed as young adult, sometimes middle grade, but they are a harder read in my opinion. I think that it's more like a young adult book, and can definitely be an adult book, of course. So basically you follow the story of woodland creatures seen through the eyes of animals. There's no humans, it's just animals, and it's just a really fun read, and kind of a fantasy, has some fantasy elements to it, although there's not really any magic in it. It's just like animals set in the medieval time period, and it's just a lot of fun. So I'm going to go ahead and just read the back of the book to you, because I don't like to give away a lot of things, and I'm always afraid that I'm going to actually give a lot of stuff away, and then I'll just kind of like tell you how I felt about it, and yeah, so we'll go from there. All right, so it is the summer of the late rose, and the gentle mice of Mossflower Wood are gathered at the ancient stone abbey of Redwall, celebrating a year of peace and abundance. But a sinister shadow has fallen across the abbey, for it is rumored that Clooney is coming. Clooney, the terrible one-eyed rat, and his battle-seasoned horde. Clooney, whose vow is to conquer Redwall. So I really like the series of Redwall because, to me, I think Jacques is kind of like a more modern Tolkien, and he just writes a really good story. And the characters are very well-rounded. There's a lot of adventure. I think the villains are sometimes, even though they're kind of scary, they're hilarious, especially some of the sidekicks of the villains. And I just love the atmosphere it's set in, and I love all of the different creatures, the woodland creatures. My personal favorite creature is the hares. They are absolutely hilarious. And I think the mole speech, that the language that the moles speak, is really fun and unique. And I just think that this series is a lot of fun. I enjoyed this book a lot, and this is a 4 out of 5 for me. So next up, I read the second book in that series. Is called Mossflower, and the synopsis of Mossflower is: the thrilling prequel to Redwall, the clever and greedy wildcat Zarmina becomes ruler of all Mossflower Woods and is determined to govern the peaceful woodlanders with an iron paw. The brave mouse Martin and quick-talking mouse thief Gomp meet in the depths of Cotier Castle's dungeon. The two escape and resolve to end Zarmina's tyrannical rule. Joined by Denny the Mole, Martin and Gomp set off on a dangerous quest for Salamandastron, where they are convinced that their only hope, Boar the fighter, still lives. So this takes place before the Book of Redwall, and the antagonist is a wildcat named Zarmina, and she is absolutely ruthless, and she wants to destroy all the woodlanders of Mossflower and basically rule with an iron fist. This one is just such a great read. I really loved the trio, Martin, Gomp, and Denny, two mice and one mole, and we read a lot about Martin the warrior later on in the series, but the whole book was just very fun. The adventures they went on were great, and it's just a really great read. I love it. I really loved this second installment of the series, and I would give it a 4 out of 5. The third book that I read in the month of April is The Hobbit by J.R.R. Tolkien, and I have read this one before a couple of times when I was younger. I have forgotten what an easy read this book is. So I'm actually currently in the middle of reading The Lord of the Rings. Actually, I say middle, I actually just started. And that one is a little harder of a read, and especially some of his like books predating the Lord of the Rings, like the Silmarillion, those are like a lot harder. That one is a lot harder to read. This was actually pretty easy to read. I read it in a couple days, and it's just great. I love the adventure. The characters are awesome. Of course, it's a little different than the movies, but you know, they had to do 3 movies out of 1 book, so I mean, they added some stuff. But it is just a classic. I love his writing style. His writing style is just, it's homey. It makes me feel really at home, and it gives me just that pleasant feeling. I just love it so much. With that being said, I'm a huge Tolkien fan of all of his work, basically, and this one is definitely 5 stars for me. All right, the 4th book that I read in the month of April is Heartless by Marissa Meyer, and the back of this one says, Catherine may be one of the most desired girls in Wonderland and a favorite of the unmarried king, but her interests lie elsewhere. A talented baker, she wants to open a shop and create delectable pastries, but for her mother, such a goal is unthinkable for a woman who could be a queen. At a royal ball where Cath is expected to receive the king's marriage proposal, she meets handsome and mysterious Jest. For the first time, she feels the pull of true attraction. At the risk of offending the king and infuriating her parents, she and Jess enter into a secret courtship. Cath is determined to choose her own destiny, but in a land thriving with magic, madness, and monsters, fate has other plans. So this is actually my first book that I've read by this author. It was very good. This is a retelling of Alice in Wonderland, but strictly from the Queen of Hearts' point of view. And this book was very clean. There was, I have expectations when I read a book. I prefer clean books, and that includes like not a lot of spice or language, heavy language, and like graphic violence. This was very clean. There wasn't any language, there was no spice, but there was still a nice romance, and it was a lot of fun. I really like all of the Alice in Wonderland references she used. I thought it was really well written. It was entertaining. So I am a really big Alice in Wonderland fan, and I really like any retelling or different versions of the story from any character's point of view, and I just enjoyed this book. I would give this one more along the lines of a 4 out of 5, but I did enjoy it. It is a good retelling, nice, clean retelling. All right, and the 5th book that I read in the month of April is Wildwood Dancing by Juliet Marillier. And here's the back. High in the Transylvanian woods live 5 daughters and their doting father. It's an idyllic life for Jenna, the second oldest daughter, who spends her time exploring the mysterious forest with her constant companion, a most unusual frog. But best by far is the castle's hidden portal, known only to the sisters. Every full moon, they alone can pass through it into the enchanted world of the other kingdom. There they dance through the night with the fey creatures of this magical realm. But their peace is shattered when father falls ill and must go to the southern parts to recover, for that is when cousin J.R.R arrives. Though he's there to help the girls survive the brutal winter, Jenna suspects he has darker motives in store. Meanwhile, Jenna's sister has fallen in love with a dangerous creature of the other kingdom, an impossible union it's up to Jenna to stop. When J.R.'s grip of power begins to tighten, at stake is everything Jenna loves, her home, her family, and the other kingdom she has come to cherish. To save her world, Jenna will be tested in ways she can't imagine. Tests of trust, strength, and true love. This book is geared towards young adults. It is very clean. The romances were very clean. There was no language, and it was a very enjoyable read. So I love this book for many reasons. First of all, I sometimes find it hard to find a book where I just love the romance. I don't know if I'm picky, I don't know. But the romance in this book was, I just thought, really great. There are 2 romances. One of them is more like love at first sight, from one of the sisters, and then the main character, hers is a little bit more like has evolved over time, that you kind of could see was coming, and I don't know how to describe it without giving too much of it away, but I loved the latter romance. It was just so well done. Sometimes I'm not the biggest fan of love at first sight. I mean, sometimes it works in a story if it's well written, but I just love romance that kind of like develops over time, etc. But the atmosphere of this story and the setting was very romantic. It was very mythical and mysterious. The creatures of the other kingdom were anywhere from fun to sweet to kind of scary, and you don't know their motives. I thought the writing was very well done. This was a book where I pretty much was on the edge of my seat. I could not put it down. I really couldn't. It was beautiful and definitely a 5-star in my book. So, I mean, parts of the book had me guessing, and some of it I could see coming a little bit, but I just thought this was just an amazing book. It was definitely 5 stars, and I would highly recommend it. And I actually am getting ready to read the second book in this trilogy, and it is just beautiful. I highly recommend this book. All right, so those are the books that I read in the month of April. I am getting ready to do a book haul video pretty soon from books that I purchased or got at the library, so I'm excited to share those with you. And thank you for watching my video, and if you wouldn't mind to subscribe and like, and have a very blessed day.